The forms of reports that we can output from Peachtree are very professional and they're of very good quality, but they also are more focused on data. They're data-centric. Now, is that bad? Well, not necessarily. A lot of times that's exactly what you want from a program like Peachtree. But what I would like to do is actually close out of this particular box and show you an additional option. It's not exactly a report, but it is a way of using information that's stored in the database used by Peachtree in order to create personalized communications, possibly with more verbiage than actual accounting data. In this case, I'm talking about writing letters. So let's go to the Tasks menu, and almost all the way to the bottom we see an option to write letters. We have customer letters, employee letters, and vendor letters. Let's go to employee letters. And in this window we can see which ones are available for us. We can see that we can do regular mailing labels, which is always kind of nice. We also have an employee welcome letter. Not a whole lot to choose from, but you can create your own, or you can modify ones that are already existing. On the right-hand side, below the preview, I'm going to click Edit Letter Template. This gives me the ability to work with some of the technical features of this letter. For example, how do we select recipients? Do we display blank lines, for example, if they don't have an address to line? Do we want to create any kind of filters using employee ID, employee type, a different sales rep, the state that they live in, those types of things? We also have email options because we can email this type of output as well. The nice thing about all of the email out of Peachtree is that you can choose what the subject is going to be, so it doesn't come up as something generic that might be filtered out as spam. We also can choose whether we want to use HTML, plain text, or to send it as an attachment. Just a little note on that. Most people these days with current email clients can read HTML. That wasn't the case about 5 years ago. Plain text is pretty boring anymore, so I wouldn't recommend you do that unless you know that there's a very good reason why you would want to. Likewise, attachments may seem like a good idea to attach it as a PDF, but remember, anytime you have attachments, it makes the email bigger, and it also has to go through more security, one more chance that your email might get filtered out as junk. So just be careful with some of that. With some of these different options selected, let's go ahead and click the Edit button. When you're working with the templates in Peachtree, they actually are Word mail merges. Mail merges are Word documents that are made up of a combination of static text and merge fields, and we can see that right here at the top. Company name, when I click on it, is in gray and it has those little brackets around it, so that's going to be filled in based on the company name in my Peachtree file. Same thing for the company full address, today's date, the employee name, and their full address. As we begin to move down, we can see what we call static text. The word dear is going to be in there. That's not related to anything in the database. It's just going to be followed by their employee name. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to our organization is also static text. So what I can do is I can go ahead and modify this letter. Normally, I would probably modify it quite a bit, but I just want to show you what the options are. They're welcoming somebody to the company. At company name, we pride ourselves on warm professional atmosphere. If there's anything I can do to make your first few days here a little easier, please don't hesitate to call or stop by. I'm going to go ahead and add another paragraph. We currently have your hire date as, and now we want to actually add a field. Well, I happen to be working in Office 2007. That doesn't really matter. This is going to be done the same way. It just looks a little bit different. In Office 2007, on the right side of the ribbon, you have a tab called Add-ins. You also should see a similar type of menu option in Office 2003 or earlier. When I click this, I get the opportunity to put in company fields from Peachtree or employee basic fields. From the drop-down, I can see everything that's available. As I look down, I can see all of the different information, and I can choose any one of these, including the one that I want in this case, which is employee hire date. I'll go ahead and select that. That now becomes inserted as a merge field that will be customized for each letter, and I'm just going to type a period at the end. Don't forget that you can format any of these things the same way you format static text, and you also have to make sure that you put in proper spacing. If you try to put two fields right next to each other, Peachtree does not automatically add a space. Hopefully you'll choose to preview these before you do anything like that, though, just to make sure you haven't made any little typos like that. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go to my Office button, which is the equivalent of your File menu, and I'll go ahead and close. It'll ask me if I want to save the changes. Yes, I absolutely do. I'll call it Employee Welcome 2, because remember, I don't like to overwrite the original things that come with the software. And I'll press Enter to save. Once that's finished saving, I'll go ahead and close Word. And that, of course, brings us back to the Peachtree interface. Now that we have our letters customized, we can, of course, go ahead and use them at any point in time. This would simply be a matter of clicking on Send the Letter. It'll open up Word. It'll create one letter for each person as appropriate based on your filters. And once that's created, you can actually customize individual letters. In other words, if you know a particular customer or a particular vendor, each one will have its own page. So you can go in and make the customization while letting Peachtree do the bulk of the original creation. That will then, of course, become its own Word document, and you can save that for your records to say, these are all of the collection letters that I sent out, or these are all of the updates to our email address. All of those things are possible and available by writing letters and using different types of forms within Peachtree. It's just another way that we have of creating customized output, even though in today's business world, we can't always create customized letters and things from scratch.